Hello everyone, it's TinaGale back with another process video, and today I was working with a challenge that's on a message board that I belong to, and so our challenge was to use florals, gold, different fonts, and then a bonus was using die cuts. And so on this layout I pulled papers and products that fit within that challenge, and I also was using a lot of scraps that was left on my table. There's a lot of bigger pieces, but not full 12 by 12. So you'll see like that gray piece, there's a chunk cut out of it, but it's going to get covered up. So, this is a great way to use it. So I was working with mostly leftovers, everything but the background were smaller pieces of paper. So I enjoy doing that when I get down to the end of a collection. I kind of just put all of my scraps off to one side towards my desk. And so instead of trying to refile them into a scrap drawer, I try to finish them off in a layout or two. And so that's always a lot of fun. And so I've kind of figured out the backgrounds that I want, and then I'm just pulling from some of my embellishments. And most of these are ones that are on my desk that I've been working from, that were either from the Paper Camellia kit or my last order from My Scraps and More. So I have a lot of odds and ends, ephemera and things that I'm using. This paper here that I'm cutting is from the Maggie Holmes Open Book Collection, and I love this paper collection, and I've had these books sitting back with an idea that I kind of wanted to do, and they just hadn't really worked in any layout so far. And I decided this layout, I thought they would work really well, and so I'm using those to ground my photo. If you have a photo and it's just kind of sitting in the center of the page and you really don't have anything behind it or under it or anything, it just seems to float. So that's one design principle that you can put into practice to help your layouts if you're just learning to scrap. And so I'm using the books. I trimmed them down so they'd be different lengths and stuff, but I'm kind of just using those as a shelf for my photo to sit on. And then, like I said, this is just all of the odds and end pieces of ephemera and just embellishments that I pulled that I thought would work with this layout. This photo is from National Scrapbook Day, I believe 2013. I didn't write the date on. I've been to Scrapbook Generation the last two National Scrapbook Days for a special crop with some online friends. And so yes, this was, well, 2014, sorry. We're in 2015. So yes, this was last year's National Scrapbook Day. And so this is a group of women that I've met online, and a few of us have gotten together to scrap before, but we've had different events that we try to go to, and I've been lucky to attend several. So it's really great to get to meet your online scrapbooking friends in person, and this was a lot of fun. And the store in Springfield is just a wonderful place to shop and to crop. So the ladies really take care of us, and we always have a lot of fun. So I'm really just messing, just trying to figure out how much I can get on there. And this layout turns out to be really heavily embellished and lots of little tucks-ins of papers and tags and embellishments and stuff. But the main background are just these two pieces of paper and then those three books at the end. And after I get them on, I take it over to the sewing machine and I sew across the binding of the books. And then I just kind of rough up the edges so that they're kind of pulled up against or away from the page, just for some added dimension and everything. And this large book I end up distressing just a little bit, and it just gave a worn look to the books and everything, so I really liked that. If you don't like the worn look, then of course don't do those, or like inking. So I'm just putting those in, and like I said, this video is going to end up long because I just piddled. There was so much that I tucked in and put on this layout that it took me a little longer than what most layouts do, because I just kept playing and pushing around paper. But in the end, I really, really like the layout. So sometimes it's fun to just spend extra time on a layout and piddle and play. And actually, I don't feel like I really like piddled like I can, but that I just, you know, I was just using up so much of the leftovers and everything. So that's always a lot of fun. And doing the challenges is always fun, trying to fit in everything that they want in them. And sometimes when you've been scrapping and you kind of hit a rut or just kind of lost your mojo, it's always fun to go find some challenges or some sketches and things like that to get to scrapping again. So the little pieces that I'm tucking in, they're all from the Maggie Holmes open book. And like I said, I think that was from my Paper Camellia kit in November. So there's so much product in those ephemera packs that it just goes on forever. So my paper's almost gone. Actually, I think this layout probably finished off the paper from that kit, but I have tons and tons of embellishments left. So I'm just trying to get them kind of used up, and then I will probably, whatever's left, I have just a few small containers on my desk that I throw odds and ends when I get to the end of embellishments and things like that. Instead of keeping them in the package, I just put them all together. And so I have a bowl that has kind of smaller embellishments, and then medium, and then one that has like tags that would have words and things like that in it. So you saw my little jar there that has my baker's twine, and I just wrap them around the old style clothespins, and then they just go in that little jar and sit on a shelf. So anytime that I need twine, I can just pull that off. These are some rub-ons. This is actually from one of the last orders that I placed for my Scraps and More, and they're the Amy Tan Mini Markets painted rub-ons, and they are so nice. And I love it because they're transparent, so they're kind of like a watercolor or whatever. And I felt like up there behind that tag, I needed just a little bit more of that kind of blue-green because that book is so heavy in color. So I wanted, even though I had that tag there with the word on it that was in that same color, it just didn't seem like quite enough. So I end up using that rub-on to kind of put behind it to pull a little bit more of that color up there and repeat, and to help balance that out. Otherwise, I felt like it was getting really, really heavy at the bottom of the layout. But since this is kind of transparent, it's kind of like a watercolor paint just brushed across there. And they go on so nice. So that's another way that you can carry the flow through your layout and stuff. Make sure that there's the colors that you're introducing go across your page. And then this little tag, I just kind of tuck it in, and like I said, this right here is just where I'm just using up all of these little bits and pieces, just tucking them in. If you don't have all that, then you could be using pattern paper and doing the same thing if you want a lot of layers. So one of the criteria of the challenge was the gold, and so this had little gold arrows and some gold scissors and some stitching and stuff. So that rub-on that you saw me just doing was some cross-hatch stitches, and I just put that across the tag, and they're actually in the pink because I felt like at that point I needed just a little bit pink repeated up there, but later I'll put the gold on to fit that criteria. And I had this little pink camera that I spritzed with Tattered Angels mist, and kept trying to find a place, and he kind of sits down there, but in the very end I move it. I had some other tags. So that's another thing when you're creating. You might sit and you have it all done and like this. You know, I had the cameras offset from each other, the pink and the blue, carrying the colors and all of that. But at the end, something else goes on there, and you realize, you know, that's not where it's needed. So never be afraid to pick it up and move it over. So here's the other little gold rub-on with the scissors. I thought that was a really great way to use on this layout since we're at a crop, because I'm not sure where I would have used the scissors anywhere else. And there's the little gold arrows. So if you haven't used rub-ons in a while, I know they used to really be popular, and they used to be really hard to use, and sometimes they'd come on and off and whatever, but the new rub-ons are so nice. I'm really, really liking the new rub-ons. that little speech bubble with the heart, that was from one of the kits that I ordered on Black Friday, so it had some of those. I think they might be from Freckled Fawn. I'm not sure. I didn't look up to see where they came from. So now I just have some different enamel dots, and I keep trying to put the hearts on there because I love the heart enamel dots, but I end up only using a couple at the end. I use the aqua one on the camera and then the pink one on the aqua camera, so just kind of to change those colors out. And this little chipboard piece, this was from a really old basic gray card kit, and I had made the cards up a year or so ago just trying to get them made, and I saved that bird. I wouldn't put it on the card because actually I didn't think it went on the card, but I wanted to keep it for one of the layouts because this particular group of women on the message board were called the Peeps. So I knew I wanted to use it on a layout, so I was so happy to finally use it. I thought it was perfect. The colors and stuff matched all of the other pieces that I was doing, so it was really great. And then this was another little fun thing that I did. At the bottom it says the book club, and so I just marked out with a marker the word book and used the small alphabet stickers from the, I think that one was the Capture Live. The two alphabets I used, one is Echo Park Creative Agenda and the other one's from Echo Park called Capture Live. So I just used the large ones there to do NSD for National Scrapbook Day, and then the small ones to cross out book and put peep. And then I found this little banner piece that said remember this, and I'll end up moving it. That's another thing. I tend to not want to cover things up even though they need to be covered up, like the book title, the Fiction Society, and that didn't have anything to do with my layout. So I didn't cover it up, and then after I get going, it's like, it just looks so much better to just pick it up and move it up and cover that book title up. So sometimes it's okay, just cover it up. So then I just go back, I believe this is the Creative Agenda sheet, and I love little word stickers just to help with different parts of the titling and the journaling, but add so much embellishment. So I find some of those and I just put around. That little flare button is from the October Afternoon Daily Flash, and so it says Insta Love. So next to that I put happiness, and then these two say create moments. And this is where I start looking at it and going, this little area is just not working for me. And so I start moving things around, and that area up there really needed that lighter pink and that dark pink. The same way as these two words on this side, and so it just really offset, and to me it just kind of completed it. So now I just have some little heartwood veneers that I'm scattering around, and that's pretty much going to finish up this layout. I will have some still shots at the end. If you made it all the way through this one, thanks for watching. Thank you all so much for commenting. I've had so many nice comments this last week, or actually a couple of weeks, and it's been really nice, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do them. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful creative day, and we will catch you next time.